Here on the cloud host, in the Oracle Home directory, I've already SCP'd using my key pair Dbvisit version 8.12. I've untarred the tarball and can move into the Dbvisit installation directory. As one of the prerequisites was to have a /user Dbvisit directory owned by Oracle and oinstall, we can actually now proceed. So I'm going to choose one here for installing all the components. And at first we'll install the core components into that base directory. I'll accept my hostname, accept the port. Now the remote hostname is going to be Dbvlab03, which is my primary machine. 7890, which we know works, and a passphrase. I'm going to use Kiwi123. Check that those settings are correct and continue. So for the agent, yep for the hostname, yes for the port, again for the passphrase, yep. Now the command line interface, and everything's installed. As this is the standby server, we'll also install the binaries needed for the GUI. It's number 5 from the option list. And for the hostname and 4433, which we know is another port that we have opened. Okay, looks good. Let's exit out. Okay, now let's start up. Proceed with creating the Dbvisit configuration file, let's check that we can contact the cloud host from our on-premise primary machine. We're going to telnet with port 4433, which will be the one we use for the GUI. Okay, it's working. The entry we put in the IP tables and the security rule modification means everything's okay. Okay, now we can create the database configuration file. So when we log into the GUI, we need to use the Elastic IP, which is the IP that we use to connect to the host, plus the port 4433. Because I've connected already, I added the relevant security exception that you get when you first load in the machine. And I'll connect with admin. As this is a brand new installation, most of the boxes are grayed out. So let's move and add a host file. So the primary server is our on-premise cloud machine. In my case, it's called Dbvlab03. Put in the passphrase that we used when we installed, which was Kiwi123, and it's detected that the operating system is Linux. I've put the IP addresses for both the on-premise primary and the cloud machine in the etc hosts file on both servers. The IP address for these machines is the externally facing IP. So in this case is my office IP, and in the case of the cloud machine will be the elastic IP. Get a little green tick to say it's available. And because this GUI is running from the cloud machine, this means that the cloud can also see the primary server, which is a good start. The second one, I've decided to call in the host file dbv-aws-01, which is the elastic IP. Kiwi123 and Linux. Little green tick. Good start. Now let's create the DDC. So our source host is DBV Lab. We'll accept the license. And we're going to have testdb as our primary. We're going to accept that as our Arch source. We're not going to use SSH, we're going to use dbvnet. So we'll accept the defaults. Moving to the standby host, it's dbv AWS-01. Yes, I'd like my SID to be called testdb. No, I would not like to use ASM for my database files. There we have it, our new configuration. We can edit anything from here. Before we can create a standby database, we need to make sure that the license has been updated. You do this by choosing the Update License tab, selecting your configuration and applying your license. Now we can create the standby. Select our configuration. Create a new database. Now we'll double check that all the primary parameters are suitable for our standby host. We're not going to use transportable media because we're going to try and create the standby in one complete action. And I'm going to accept the defaults here because I know that I have space. I'll choose to create a template for future use, and away we go. While the standby is creating, you can choose this at any point to see its progress. This updates in real time. Coming back to the creation, we can see that the process has actually finished. And we have a standby created in the cloud. Let's check. Our testdb instance is running. And we have an entry in the Aura tab. Okay. That we have our standby up and running, let's perform some basic tasks. We can do this from both the GUI and from the command line. First, from the GUI, we'll run a log gap report. Okay, and we can see here that the log gap is 1. So we'll send the logs over. And apply them at the standby side. Now then when we run our log gap report, there's 0. We can perform the same task from the GUI. On the primary side, from the Dbvisit base/standby directory, we run the dbvctl process with our DDC. This performs a log switch and transfers the log. And then on the standby side, from the same directory, applies them. We can also recreate the standby control file. And if necessary, refresh one data file. Standby also gives us the option to have some daemons running on each of the hosts in order to send and apply the logs automatically. The daemon frequency can be controlled with parameters within the DDC file. For the purpose of the demo, I'll go with the defaults. Here in the Database Actions tab, the daemon actions gives us options on what we can do with the daemons. So if choosing the primary host, we can see at the moment the daemon is not running. So if we choose to start it, we see that it's started. We now have the option, re-choosing the primary host, to see the status, and there it's running with that PID. Going on to the primary host, we can see that the daemon is in fact running. Moving to the standby host, we can start the daemon. And again choose the status and can see it's running there as well. So if I move to the primary host and perform a couple of log switches, when we run a log gap report with the daemons running, this should always be maintained at 0.